the metrics that we value in social is genuinely reaching our community. It's more valuable for us to reach less people who are genuinely interested in what we're putting out there, what our brand stands for, and what products that we make.
Welcome to Connected Thinking, our series of chats with standout voices from the world of marketing, where we unpack what's trending, what's shifting, and what's coming next. I'm Shannon, your host and Senior Campaign Manager at Scene Connects. And today I'm joined by Toni Ehrnreich, Head of Marketing at BOL Foods, with over 7 years of experience working for FMCG challenger brands. BOL stands for Bring on Life and is a plant-powered food brand on a mission to create tasty, nutritious meals without compromise. So welcome, Toni.
Thank you for having me.
To kick things off, BOL's organic content has shifted from being largely product-led to more aspirational, lifestyle-driven storytelling. What prompted this pivot, and what key changes have you noticed in how your audience engages with your content as a result?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because the landscape of social has definitely evolved a lot. So from back in the day, I actually started off as a content creator, and it was enough really as a brand to put out a very aesthetic grid full of product shots, and that really did sort of generate the engagement. But now we've clearly seen the shift. There's a lot shorter attention spans. There's a much higher demand for video content. But first and foremost, it's a social platform, and you need to be part of those genuine sort of cultural moments and social conversations. So we as a team have definitely pivoted away from these kind of aesthetic grids that are very kind of product heavy, and actually tried to tap into what are the things that our audience are talking about on social, what are the things that they are using the platform for, and almost using our products as part of that storytelling where we keep our kind of consumer as the hero. So I guess to give an example of that, rather than just say a product like our power soups, for example, and just a static shot where we talk about its high protein, high fiber, we know that our audience are engaging with trends like fiber maxing and actually creating a more educational piece of content around how to hit your fiber goals and using our products as part of kind of solution to their problem. We have found that has really kind of generated much more engagement and reach than we were previously, where it was a more kind of classically advertising-led content.
Do you feel like when you started doing that, you saw a massive spike in engagement, or was it something that you feel like developed over time?
Instagram is our kind of core channel. But it takes time, I think, for the algorithm to almost reset and figure out who are the people who are genuinely engaging with your content and then sort of serving it to them. But we've really stuck to that consistency. And I think one of the things that we've also learned is when we started that pivot in our content strategy was just to be really consistent with our posting times and almost just simplify things really down to simple testing so that we could learn. But through that, definitely it's over time. We've now built up that follower growth. And we've built up those kind of engagement rates and commenting and also shares, which is something that we never previously saw. But it's been amazing to feel like our community are not only enjoying the content that we're putting out there, but also sharing it with their community as well.
Amazing. That's what you want, really, isn't it? Other people start talking about you, follow the page. So we know earlier this year you launched the Blueberry Power Shake, and you had a standout activation like the Glasto pop-up and the XL announcement. What inspired these ideas, and how did you turn them into organic traction on social?
So I'm really glad you've seen that, by the way. So blueberry was a flavour we were really excited about. There's no other kind of blueberry shake in the sort of protein drink or the nutritionally complete meal space in the UK where we're operating. And we knew it had that kind of social worthy kind of flavour edge to it. But really it just started off with, what is kind of happening around the moment that it was launching. So it was summertime, what are our audience doing? What are they kind of talking about? What do they care about at this moment? And festivals is really kind of, you're getting that momentum. And especially with a festival like Glastonbury, there's such like a FOMO around it, who got a ticket, who didn't get a ticket. So we knew that there's kind of conversation around that. And it was really just a simple connection of Glastonbury and berry.
So clever.
And there was kind of a moment to tap into that directly tapped into the use for this product. So for our power shake, it's a meal on the go. It's made with real ingredients. It's perfect when you don't have time to cook something, or, you want a breakfast, but you actually want to grab something healthy. You don't want to grab like sort of a really indulgent croissant. So, festival goers going to the festival, jumping on the tube, like are going to need something to keep them going for the journey, or maybe they miss breakfast when they're trying to catch their coach or whatever. So it was a perfect moment to kind of offer our power shake and sort of tap into that Glastonbury sort of further.
Yeah, perfect timing as well. So Instagram and TikTok are the obvious priorities for many FMCG brands, but we've also seen BOL stand out on LinkedIn, and particularly with thought leadership, brand announcements, and employee-driven content, which I absolutely love, by the way. I feel like more brands should definitely be doing more of that. What advice would you give to consumer brands looking to build a meaningful LinkedIn strategy?
So I think the first place to start really, and actually I will say that's another kind of part of our channel mix that we did relook at, because previously we have used LinkedIn almost as a kind of personal PR machine where we've just used it to shout out sort of key brand wins, like we're now stocked in a new retailer or we've got this new product. But I think really starting off with quite a clear understanding of who is this audience on LinkedIn that you're trying to engage with. Is it retailers or prospective retailers that you want to get your brand in front of to potentially list you? Is it talent that you're looking to recruit in the company? Is it just general sort of professionals that you're, as consumers that you want to engage with your brand? And, there may be many audience groups that you're looking to engage with, but I think starting there and being really clear on that and what your objectives are, and then thinking about what is that content that they genuinely enjoy engaging with already, and why are they on the platform? So I guess to give an example, if you are using LinkedIn as a place to recruit talent and excite them about joining your company, you could just put out a post that says, we're a great place to work. Or you could do something, lean into a bit more of that storytelling and feature an employee in a sort of day in the life piece of content and show them kind of navigating a day in their job and them kind of interacting and showing a bit of that, bring a bit of that sort of culture to life. So I think it's really just identifying that intersection of who are the people that you're trying to reach, what is the message that you want them to know, and how can you almost sneak that message in within a format that already engages with the stuff that they want to watch or want to read.
Yeah, definitely. I also feel like when you're looking for a job, one of the first things, well, this is what I would personally do, is go to their social media, because you do see more of that like day in the life content, like come on a day in the life with our brand manager, for example, and then you get an insight into the office. What are the people like? If it's somewhere you want to work. And I think it definitely encourages more people to want to work there, to apply for jobs. So it's definitely a clever strategy that I think more people
100%.
should be tapping into.
And actually, it was the thing that made me want to join BOL,
Nice.
A couple of years ago, which was going onto their socials, and it was so clearly such a team-driven, passionate culture that you just sort of wanted to be a part of it. So completely relate to
really
that.
nice, working very well. Online conversations around ultra-processed foods can be sensitive, with influencers and consumers quick to critique ingredients. I think we've probably all been there. How do you approach influencer partnerships to establish relevance and authority in that space?
Yeah, really good question. I think for BOL, I mean, it's a tricky one to navigate, because for us as a brand, we're all about making it easy for busy people to eat well. And, with us, everything that we make is pretty much high protein, high fiber. It's made with real sort of plant-powered ingredients. And naturally, to kind of build credibility in that, we want to work with nutritionists or people who are kind of leaders in food conversations and health conversations to help us kind of drive that credibility. So we prefer to work with qualified people who understand the nuances of nutrition, who represent a kind of balanced, moderate view, not people who are pushing fads or extremes, but, ultimately we're products made for real life, and real life isn't perfect. And, you strive for balance, you strive to sort of eat real ingredients most of the time, but we know that sometimes life gets busy, or there's just eating for pleasure, and Bring On Life is about embracing all of those moments. We do find, because we are a very clean ingredient deck brand, that we do get picked up by sort of those supermarket influencers who kind of go in and call out brands for using artificial ingredients, and that we're fortunate that we actually kind of benefit from that in a way, because our profile is clean. But nonetheless, we're not about making people feel bad for the food choices that they make. We're just about making it easier to eat well, and we really want to kind of maintain that positive nutrition space versus a kind of negative don't eat that space.
Do you have anything in place that safeguards your brand if someone were to just pick up one of your products and decide they wanted to spin a negative narrative on it for any reason?
For us, it's about being all over our community management. Being honest, we don't have a sort of strict, rigorous safeguarding process. I think, we're still in that kind of challenger brand life stage, but we are very on it with our community management. And so when something does happen, it does occasionally happen. We've had it before with our Power Shake range, where someone has said something like, these are full of sugar, but they're actually naturally low sugar and have no added sugar. So it's just inaccurate. Ultimately our response is to just follow up with a message, always in a kind of positive and friendly way, but gently kind of correcting that isn't the case, and just, hoping that if that content gets traction. And I think a lot of the time when someone is calling out a brand and saying that something's really bad about it, you do just kind of go to the comments for the drama. And normally, I think you'll be looking for the brand in question to make a response. So, as long as we're quick on it, and our content manager, Lydia, does an amazing job of really being on it with the community management, then that's kind of our way of making sure that we make sure the true messages are coming through.
Yeah, I think as well, you kind of have a responsibility to do that as a brand, to protect yourselves in the sense of people go into the comments for the drama. You don't want to fuel any like fake conversation. So just straight away being like, oh, actually, like this is the case in a nice way. People will think, oh, don't need to look at that anymore. Like I've got my answer and it's all done.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it depends, I guess, what sort of brand identity you have, and if you're a little bit more kind of rebellious in your sort of tone of voice. And I think there are brands that get away with it, but generally it doesn't feel like it comes off that well when you are aggressive in your tone of voice or overly defensive. It feels like kill with kindness always just feels like the way forward.
Yeah, definitely. Do you feel like you see a lot of organic content, like you said about the supermarket influencers? That's really interesting. I definitely see more of that online now. Would you say you get a lot of like organic tagging on your socials, or people talking about the brand without you having done like an influencer campaign because of that reason? Like they're picking you up because they've noticed it is a clean brand. It's something they would encourage people to get involved in. Like you can have a healthy meal on the go without having to spend hours at home cooking in your kitchen.
Yeah, absolutely. There's sort of influencers out there like Tonic Health, and Sophie Morris is based in Ireland, and just seen that kind of organic traction with our products where they've picked it up on shelf and sort of read that back of pack and kind of calling out that there aren't sort of any skeletons in our ingredients deck closet, I guess. So we've definitely seen that traction build. And I suppose maybe what other people are seeing is that these videos that of people just going into the supermarket and calling out brands are getting so much traction. I mean, the views on them is unbelievable, millions of views. So I guess for others as well, it's almost seeing it as an opportunity to grow their platform, is to almost start producing that kind of content. So we've definitely seen it kind of snowball in sort of recent, I'd say over the past year especially. And as the UPF conversation has really heightened.
Yeah, everybody jumping on the biggest trends.
Yeah.
With your recent international expansion, how is your content strategy evolving? Do you think you'll adapt storytelling for local markets or focus on maintaining one consistent global brand voice?
Yeah, so I guess we've just launched in the Netherlands, and that's the first sort of international launch for the brand. And it's a really interesting one because, well, the product we've launched is our Power Shake, so the ready-to-drink nutritionally complete meal. And in the UK, it's a slightly more established market. People know the kind of generally what a nutritionally complete meal is. It's still obviously got a lot of headroom for growth, but there's an understanding of it, and there's a perception of some products in that space are very artificial. We're obviously carving out our position as the sort of natural nutritionally complete meal on the market, but in a new market like the Netherlands, for example, it's much more in its infancy. So whereas in the UK, we're sort of pioneering a message that's much more about, offering an alternative made from real ingredients. In the Netherlands, we're actually more establishing what the product is and positioning it as something that's better than a protein shake, where, protein shakes are much more kind of established in that market. So even just as basic as the product that we're talking about, we're having to lean into slightly different messaging and almost start that early education messaging a bit more in that new market. I guess in terms of orientating to more of that local culture, I think we're at the beginning of that journey where we've got a strong brand in the UK, we've got a clear kind of global voice, but best in class for us is obviously adapting our marketing calendar to those local moments. So the Dutch are generally quite healthy, there's sort of a lot of cycling outdoors. So when we're positioning that product, it's still keeping the kind of heart of the brand, that celebration of life, that celebration of making it easy to eat well, but leaning into those kind of local trends and events that make it resonate with the Dutch audience and not just kind of copy pasting our UK content across.
Yeah, I think that's really important as well, because you see so many brands that try to expand, and then because they don't recognize those things, they actually end up failing. Understanding that it's not a recognized market, so you have to change your strategy to adapt to that, and then leaning into the local holidays and stuff where people are actually going to bring the product into their day-to-day life. There's so much pressure for brands to go viral at the moment. So how do you think you define success on social today, and what metrics do you guys look into?
Yeah, so we are very happy that we've gone viral twice this year. It just feels like something you want to have on your list. And I think the virality piece is interesting because really, for us, the value in the metrics that we value in social is genuinely reaching our community and seeing that genuine engagement build. And that's things like comments, likes, shares, saves, genuine sort of follower growth. And in a way that it's more valuable for us to reach less people who are genuinely interested in what we're putting out there, what our brand stands for, and what products that we make, versus having a video generate millions of views for something that actually may have nothing to do with the product. And I guess to give a bit of an example of that, we've had 2 videos go viral, and one of them was sort of girl on a running machine on TikTok, and it was a sort of funny split screen effect where it looked like her legs were sort of dismembered from her body. More detail on that. But it was just sort of visually arresting and looked weird, and it generated loads of comments, and it was great. The power shake was in the shot, and it helped us create that buzz. You know, we could share it with our retailers and say we've just gone viral, and it really had a purpose there. But the reality is that people were engaging with that content not because of the product, not because of the brand. It's because they were seeing that there was this weird effect of legs feeling slightly dismembered from the body. And that doesn't really grow our brand. That's not going to grow our awareness. That's not going to translate into people going into the store and buying it. But it does serve a purpose of creating a bit of buzz that we can amplify and kind of create that feeling of noise and hype around the brand. So I think it has a role, but really it's about consistency for us. We're not looking for kind of one-off lightning strikes. We want to build that genuine community who over time with valuable metrics.
I feel like you've described that perfectly. A lot of brands want to go viral because they think that's how they're going to get success. But what you just said is so right. It's great to go viral to reach a lot of people, but at the end of the day, are they watching the video for what you wanted them to watch it for? Or is it landing in the audience of someone who just thought it was funny? So it's great that you can have those moments every now and then. But like you said, I definitely agree. It's not something you want to be doing 24/7, and you want to focus more on brand building in your community and making sure that your everyday content is hitting the right people. In a category where many brands play it safe, what's one risk you've taken on social that's really paid off?
So I can't take credit for this one, sadly. This is down to my amazing team. But it was another TikTok viral video, and our content creator, Elle, and our content manager, Lydia, essentially put forward this video where it's a bowl of our power soup, and Elle is essentially dunking into it in this like disgustingly aggressive way and just shoveling this sort of sandwich into her mouth and like dripping with soup. And there's a call to action on the screen, which is something like, tell me your dirtiest food secret, like leave a comment. And it doesn't sound massively risky, but for a brand like BOL, and for anyone who knows BOL, like it is an aesthetic brand. We are kind of celebrating this like full of life lifestyle, and typically have leaned into kind of more curated visuals. So to suddenly put something out there that was the definition opposite of aesthetic felt kind of, you're in that quandary of, oh, I feel like it could get traction, but like, is it right for the brand? And is that something we want people to see? Anyway, we put it out there, it's TikTok, like throw it to the wind, and it went massively viral, and it was hilarious. Like people were just commenting, all of their gross food secrets, like, I dip my chips in a bottle of vinegar and throw it in some beans, like all this conversation. But actually what highlighted for us is actually, there's space in our brand to have fun, bring on life. Actually, it's not about perfection. That's kind of what we stand for. So we can afford to have fun in those moments with our audience. And also just kind of give things a try. Like ultimately TikTok's a great platform for that, just throwing things out there and seeing what works, and like not always necessarily needing to take yourself too seriously. So yeah, that was definitely something that paid off and ended up reaching 1 million views, which was great.
Oh, wow. Do you feel like that spurred you on to do more like risky things? Or was it one of those things that you're like, we're glad we did it, we're glad it paid off, but maybe we won't try it again for a while?
Yeah, too stressful. I would say the risk thing, I think actually as a brand we could take more risks, and we're probably still on that journey. I think it's more about for us pushing ourselves to think about things that are genuinely conversation driving, not even necessarily risky, but have that kind of share worthy factor. Like, would you share it with a friend? Like, is this something that genuinely people will talk about? Because I think if we use that as the litmus test of whether a piece of content goes out, like, I genuinely find that hilarious or adds value, educational, I want to share it with my mates, then it will go further than just kind of pumping out our brand messages without really connecting to anything.
Yeah, definitely. Following on from talking about communities on socials, is this something that you really want to bring into real life, or is it something you do already? We know a lot of other brands are starting to bring community a lot more into in real life events and brand trips, and it's something I think is only going to get even bigger in 2026. So it'll be good to know what you guys are planning on doing or that you already do to bring your community into your real life space.
Absolutely. So we have our community program is Friends of BOL or Boliers. And we select those people. They're people who've genuinely engaged with the brand. So there'll be people who've posted UGC, who are really active replying to our posts. So it's genuinely people who love the brand that we reach out to and almost invite to be part of our kind of inner circle community. And that's kind of taken shape in multiple ways. That's sending them product early to review and give us their feedback. That's getting their opinion on marketing campaigns, what they think we could be doing better as a brand. And especially, as a challenger brand, we don't have a huge amount of budget for insights. Actually speaking to our community and learning about what they love about our brand or what they want to improve is really valuable to us. And we really want to keep that as a giving relationship where we're not just sort of asking them for things all the time, but including them and bringing them into our events is an amazing way to do that. So in the summer months, we often do kind of the more fitnessy, wellnessy festivals. So last summer we did a bunch. We sponsored the Netball Super League. We did Wellnergy. So many more. I can't even think off the top of my head, but inviting them down to our events and getting to meet them in person is a really amazing way to strengthen that relationship bond. We've done some fun things in the past as well, like our content manager, Lydia. We, on our power pots, we have a little note at the bottom that says you can eat them cold, but only our founder, Paul, eats them cold. And we had this guy called Sam Paul reach out saying that he eats them cold too. So we made him this sort of personalized power pot, his own cardboard label that said, eat them cold if you want, only our founder Paul does and Sam Paul does too, which is just really nice. And there's little moments like that you can really kind of generate storytelling from. We put it on LinkedIn, it got loads of traction. And I think people just love those kind of authentic moments really that you can have with your community. And they always feel more powerful, more meaningful than, working with just a big time influencer where you just slap their products in the hand and put a big ad all over it. Like, it's great to actually use community in that way.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that we always try and do with our clients as well, is bring the community in, where you want to work with people that are authentic, and authenticity is like such a buzzword in the industry, but having people that genuinely already love and use the brand and doing stuff like that makes people feel really recognized and appreciated, and it makes them love the brand more and want to do more for them. So it works both ways, and I think they also get something out of it, but it also really helps you in getting like your core brand values out there and like recognition for everyone that's already invested.
Definitely.
So we're just going to go through some of our quick fire questions. The first one is, what is your favorite book or podcast that you'd recommend?
So I feel a bit nerdy saying it's my favourite book. It's more angled as what I think is a really valuable marketing book. But for me, it's How Brands Grow by Byron Sharp. It's just such a great fundamental in terms of marketing principles, especially if you're someone who's not had kind of classic marketing training. It really just sort of simplifies and gives the science behind growing a brand. So yeah, for me, it would absolutely be that one.
Amazing. Do you have one that's non-work related? Do you read or not really?
I read on holiday and I would love to read more, but when I am on holiday, I like pace through the books. But I think one that would stick out for me is Uneducated, I believe by Tara Westwood. It's just an amazing story about a girl who came from a family in Salt Lake City, super religious Mormon family that can't remember the word for it, but where you think the world's ending. And it's the story of her journey as she kind of re-educates herself and immerses herself in kind of mainstream society. But it's just an incredible book that I'm not really doing a great job of selling, but read it.
That sounds fascinating. Add it to my list. And then the second question is, best piece of advice you've received. It doesn't have to be work related, could be personal.
I'll go for a personal. Always be yourself, not a second best version of somebody else.
I love that. Thank you so much, Toni, for joining us on Connected Thinking.